catalyst for understanding, George finally realized that it was in vain to search for Paul in the way that he had been, because his own long years of suffering could not ever bring Paul back, and because Paul could be found in everything. From that monumental switch of paradigm, George found peace that lasted until his old way of thinking crept back in. Now, with that introduction of George's pain, we'll move on to his song, Long, Long, Long. As the song begins, it sounds like he is still suffering, and actually does continue to suffer to the extent of his internal objection to his new awareness. He somberly sings, "It's been a long, long, long time. How could I ever have lost you when I loved you?" The song works on 4 levels. On one, all of it is a love song. That one should not need explaining. On the next level, the song is all about Paul dying, being missed, but found again. On the next level, Long, Long, Long is about perceptions of God. George had lost and found the divine in much the same way that we hear of many individuals, as they put it, finding Jesus. On the highest conceptual level, built upon the notions of the lower levels, the separation from Paul is only an illusion. It was not caused by Paul's entering immortality, but by George's own immature perception of the effect and meaning of death. This song is drenched in George's philosophical theory and introspection. I will try to do it justice. Saying, "It's been a long, long, long time," refers to the 2 years and 2 weeks since Paul's death and internment. The longness was due to all of George's suffering through it all. On the level about God, I don't know how long it had been since George felt connected to God. Later, when he sang "My Sweet Lord," he expressed further frustration that it was taking so long to feel sufficiently connected to God. In Long, 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 however, George expresses that he has already made a breakthrough. The next lines, combining as "How could I ever have lost you when I loved you," suggests George's earnest regret on each of those levels. On the level of concern of Paul's physical death, George had often replayed his last evening with Paul and regretted that he, George, could not stop it by recognizing a dream that Paul had shared with him. On the level about God, George questions how he allowed the loss of union with his Lord in light of how important God had been in his life in years past. Letting go of the distancing now, George looks at how he had suffered without Paul and God those years, or that is, without his conscious awareness of them. Although all the sadness of his singing tone audibly acts against it, he sings, "It took a long, long, long time. Now I'm so happy I found you. How I love you." Reflecting on his past miserable search and wasted suffering for Paul and for God, George laments, "So many tears I was searching, so many tears I was wasting." As he was contemplating his own suffering, he remembered some things about the universal light resonating throughout all of creation, and thought of Walt Whitman's poem Song of Myself. "I fused my flesh in eddies and drifted in lacy jags." That line of the long poem, as with hundreds more agreeing with it, promotes the transcendental idea that our spirit essence continues on beyond form, suggesting his idea that when we die, we all rejoin that universal consciousness. To put Whitman in other words, since we are all a part of that universal spirit or energy that is in and through everything, our finite forms are illusory in that they appear entirely separate when in fact nothing is or can be separated. Life and element are interconnected. W. says, "I bequeath myself to the dirt to grow from the grass I love. If you want me again, look for me under your boot soles." If then Whitman, or God, or Paul, fills the universe by being inseparable from all that is everywhere, then George asks them, "How could I ever have lost you when I loved you?" His love was an awareness of his connection to everything. Whitman admits the probability that we will not recognize him under our boots. He says, "You hardly know who I am or what I mean, but I shall be good health to you nevertheless." Whitman is in the food we eat, providing filter and fiber your blood. We are to continue looking. Failing to fetch me at first keeps me encouraged. Missing me one place, search another. He can be found. Such metaphysical searching is not the same sort of searching that George had done for Paul before. All that long time, George had been searching in the sense that he wanted to find a new communal connection to Paul in me, or to find Paulishness satisfaction in another external way. This new way of looking for Paul was more internal to George himself. He was to look within and see, through this universal consciousness, that since we are all one, all made of that same infinite understanding, he never separated from God or Paul after all. He further realized that Paul did not go away, since there is never anywhere to go that is not here and now. We are all connected. Earth and heaven is here and now. Neither space nor time can ever separate us, whether living or dead, because the forms we occupy in this illusory world are not who or what we are. George, having such spiritual connectedness in mind, realizes that he had long wasted all of that energy looking for Paul without and crying over his absence, when in fact Paul had never entirely gone on without him. Paul and God were both deep down within him, part of him, all along. Now, at last given real vision, he sings, "Now I can see you, be you. How can I ever replace you?" He is part Paul, or God. He sings, "How I want you, oh how I love you. You know that I need you, oh I love you." As he ends the song, he imitates Paul's ambulance siren. The union is logical, but not felt in his heart.